Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Goddess of Gore. My name is Vix and today I want to talk about all of the books that I'm going to read in December. So the only thing I'm doing in December is taking part in the Christmas Evil readathon for the month, not really doing too much to get involved. I'll be honest, just because December is a very busy month for me, both at work and at home, with Yule and Christmas to host, and messing about on my phone for the month is not something I can do very much, and get away with at least. Plus, by the end of the month, I'm usually on my way to the gaping black hole of seasonal depression. Really. I probably seem I'm making light of it, but it is a genuine battle for me every year. That seems to get worse and worse, so it's laugh or cry about it really, but enough about me. I have on my token sweatshirt from the aforementioned readathon. So what's it all about then? This readathon is hosted and co-hosted by four wonderful booktubers. There is Kelsey from Slime and Slashers, Katrina, my good friend from Katrina Brown, Crystal from Fibre Artsy, and Michelle, the lovely Michelle from Michelle's Melancholia,
and Kelly from Hooked on Books.
This is a readathon heavily on Discord with chats going on constantly, always very responsive, so you can have a good old time on there. There is Christmas horror movie nights at various time slots, which probably won't be applicable to me being in the UK and at work, and I have home commitments, but of course if you want to stay up all night long watching movies with other people, you can. And there is obviously Instagram hashtags and pages, as well as graphics and the ever important bingo board with the prompts on. So shall we have a look at it then? I have tried to make my book choices as cold and wintry as possible. So, starting at the top left, we have a black magic or occult book, and I couldn't pick just one book for this, so I have picked two, and they are The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook and Hare House by Sally Hinchcliffe. The Lighthouse Witches is on ebook and was a book I requested on NetGalley some time ago, and this is a book set in a remote Scottish island, set in three timelines now, or at least last year in 2021, 1998 and the 1600s witch trials. This is about when an artist named Liv gets a commission to paint a lighthouse. She moves herself and three daughters over there, but while she's there, the locals tell her all about a cave that is under the lighthouse that was used to imprison witches. Cut to 22 years later, and one of the daughters, Luna, is still searching for her two siblings and mother that went missing. So when she gets a phone call to say one of the sisters has been found, she's over the moon. But when she gets there, she finds her sister still 7 years old, just as she was when she vanished. But after the local legends of the witches mimicking children, Luna is convinced that this sister is a wildling, and her return to the Lighthouse Island will bring back all those terrible memories from 22 years ago. And Hare House, also set in Scotland, about a woman who leaves her life in London to come and live in a cottage on the estate of Hare House during autumn. Not much is ever said about her, nondescript, no name, no age. But when winter sets in, what starts as superstition feels increasingly like sensible caution. Local legend, biblical warnings, stuffed hares, clay figurines. This is a gothic isolation witchy book, I think. So the next prompt along is Krampus. Pick a creature, feature or monster book. And obviously I chose the Brom novel Krampus the Yule Lord. I should add that I did start this book last year for Krampusnacht, I think it was, and there was a read-along happening, but I didn't keep up and left it half unfinished. This has some wonderful drawings by Brom as he does in all of his books, and these are stunning. Now, I presume everyone has heard of Krampus, but over here in England we have a weekend in Whitby that is a total event. And obviously in Europe, especially Austria and Germany, Krampusnacht is a very real thing. And as someone who tries to recognise and bring back into my life the pagan festivals, this is one that I do enjoy. And what Brom has done in this book is mixed the folklore and traditions of Krampus and brought them to the present and made Santa the villain of this book. The main story is about Jesse, his dismal life. Can you even see this? In his dismal life, not being able to provide for his daughter, and now his wife has left him for another man. But one Christmas Eve, just as he is about to end it all in his car, he witnesses something amazing. Father Christmas and his sleigh are attacked by what he thinks are people in devil costumes, and he is left with the magic Santa sack, and he uses it to perform magic and wriggle his way from some very nasty criminals. The other side of the story is the fight between Krampus and bring back the original meaning of the winter festivals. If you have read any other of Brom's books or you enjoy a good Krampus story, this one is a must. And then, to get the top row complete, the next prompt is a Christmas carol. Read a ghost or haunting book. Again, if you don't know, here in England we have a kind of tradition of telling ghost stories on Christmas Eve, with there always being a dramatisation of something on the telly, and we have a jolly old time being terrified. I think this tradition hit its peak during the Victorian times with the releases of good winter scary books, but this was a thing to do way before that, simply by retelling the stories from memory. Why? Who knows? But I will be doing a video for the best stories to read around the fireplace during the long winter nights, so look out for that. But anyway, as I was saying, a haunting set during winter is perfect to me, and again I've chosen a book that I requested from NetGalley bloody well last year, and that is The Haunting Season, Ghostly Tales for Long Winter Nights. And just look at this cover, it is stunning. This has 8 stories from Gothic award-winning authors like Bridget Collins, Kieran Millward Hargrave and Laura Purcell, just to name 3 of the biggies. This is filled with spooky, haunted houses, uncanny clairvoyance, supernatural chairs, witches and selkies. So, as the book says, I can't wait to curl up, light a candle and fall under its spell. Fabulous, top row sorted. Next, going down from there, Sleigh Bells is the next bingo box to read a slasher. And for this I have chosen the second book in the Slaughter books by Sergio Gomez, and this is Halloween Slaughter. Yes, I know it's winter, but it was only 2 months ago that it was Halloween. And the first book was a fun quick read, so I'm expecting similar vibes from this too. From what I have heard, you don't have to have read Camp Slaughter first. This could read as a standalone, but it does have the same character, Ignacio, who is the slasher. And with all good slashers, this will be high octane thrills and blood spills, hopefully with some yummy gory bits splattered in. Going back along that row is Mood Read, and if I don't pick something now I probably never will, and I have chosen one that I have heard only one person talk about so far, and that was Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative, whose other recommendation was pretty good, so I trust her choices. This is set in the isolation of a snowy Peak District, Daniel Church's The Hollows. Again, this was given to me by NetGalley for a review, so it will be on ebook, but again, what an amazing cover. I am loving all the wintry covers for these books. I know autumn is my perfect season, but I love to see winter on my books. This is about a body found during a snowfall by a couple of kids, but something didn't sit right with the police constable who went to investigate. He suspects something worse than the drunken fall, that it was said to be, and when other bodies start to turn up, his worst thoughts come to life. And this sounds brilliant. Small village, shut in, power down. This is going to be some dreadful fun. Next, to complete the second row, is to pick a gifted book, and unless I tell someone what book I want, I don't really get gifted a surprise book, or I buy myself books. But I was gifted this one by the author themselves, Erin Walmsley. This is Blood Knot, and it is a YA book about a young witch from a long line of witches as she searches for the truth about how her parents died. It is filled with supernatural witchiness in an academia setting with a bit of sleuthing thrown in. I'm expecting Wednesday and Sabrina vibes from this one. So on the final line down from that is Winter Wonderland, a book set in winter, and I could say that all of these, I could say any of them so far is set in winter, but then I wouldn't be able to read The Terror by Dan Simmons, would I? This is an Arctic horror set in 1845 aboard the HMS Terror as it begins its way to the Northwest Passage. But it gets stranded in the never-ending ice and darkness. The 126 men on board think the rations and dwindling coals are the worst nightmare they can think of. But nay, there's something far worse trying to get its claws into them. As they get picked off one by one, the remaining survivors attempt to make one last attempt to get across the ice with a mute Inuit woman who may be the key to their survival or the ending of it all. Ooh, I love a bit of Arctic horror, especially when there's a line in it about how they have taken off their socks and left their toes in there and stuff. It's lovely.
It's lovely.
Then, Santa's Little Helper, a middle grade book. So in September I read my first Aveline Jones book by Phil Hicks and already had book 2, but in October I think it was, he released the third book in the series, so I've decided to get my torch out again and read both of them for this prompt. The Bewitching of Aveline Jones and The Vanishing of Aveline Jones. Do you say Aveline, 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 or something else? Because the more I say the name Aveline, the more I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. But let me know if you have this name, please. So, in The Bewitching, we follow Aveline as she stays in a little cottage in Bristol with her mum, and right out the back is some standing stones, so-called the Witch's Stones. For reasons Aveline will have to investigate. While she's out there looking at the stones, she meets Hazel and they become fast friends, and Alice, a woman who hangs around the local church. Of course, it wouldn't be an Aveline Jones book without something spooky going on, so I'm expecting something to go very supernaturally wrong. And then the newest instalment is The Vanishing of Aveline Jones, and again Aveline is getting herself into mischief, this time in winter, and both her mom and Aunt Lillian travel to her uncle's house who vanished without a trace some time ago, and they both think it's time to move on and sell his house. With the help of her old friend Harold, the pair investigate the uncle's study to try and turn up any clues, and they find out Uncle Rowan isn't the first person to disappear mysteriously, and with the winter solstice fast approaching, will they discover the supernatural truth about the village? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. I love these books. They're beautiful. And then the final prompt before we get to call house on the whole readathon is, okay, I'm curious, do other countries play bingo the same as we do? Do you have silly sayings for the numbers, like 2 little ducks for 22? And do you shout house when you've cleared the board? Things like that. Inquiring minds, gotta know. Anyways, the last square is The Reindeer Ride, and this is a translated book. I have picked Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko and translated by Julia Mitov Percy. This is a Ukrainian novel, first published in 2007 in Russian and translated to English in 2018. This is a weird, magical sci-fi time travel book from what I can gather, but it also has dark academia vibes too. While descriptions are vague, everyone seems to say it is an enchanting and horrifying book that has no genre category. What I do know is that the book opens with Sasha, a 16-year-old, who is being stalked by a very strange man on a beach who suddenly turns up and tells her she has to wake at 4 a.m. every day. At the waterside, she is to take off all of her clothes and swim to the buoy in the sea and back. She is reluctant to do it, but when she does, she immediately runs onto the sand and starts to vomit gold coins. I'm expecting something very trippy, and this may be the one that kills the mood, let's be fair. I may look into finding an audio book if I'm struggling though. And then, if you want to, there is a bonus prompt, which is a buddy read of Kelsey's choice, Autumn Bleeds into Winter by Jeff Strand. This book is set in 1979, and this is a horror thriller about kidnapped children and one teenage eyewitness who knows exactly who is doing it, but he just can't prove it. So what does any teenager do in this situation? Well, he takes on the neighbourhood serial killer, of course. Do I need to say it? I'm pretty sure you're all sick of hearing it, but what could possibly go wrong? I thought it was obvious. So that is it. My December TBR is complete. It's written down in pen and I don't have any Tipp-Ex. It is a small TBR, but I can always add to it if I have more time. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm always amazed that you do. Like if you liked it and subscribe if you want to, no pressure. I will leave you with a little quote from Krampus himself. The beast rolled his eyes.
I am not a devil fool. Do you ever wonder why you seek the devil with such vigour? I shall tell you. Because you cannot face your own wickedness. There is only you. So look at yourself, for you are the only devil in this room.
Until next time. Bye bye.